bonus episode of Sports and Songs podcast. My name is Dan. We've completed the first weekend of state tournament baseball for the 100th anniversary of the state amateur baseball tournament. Today is August 20th. The first round games are done. I'm going to provide a preview of this next weekend's matchups. Let's start first with Class B. Keep in mind, the Class B state tournament is commingled. Class A and B together. This is the first year they've done it. It's officially called the Class B state tournament, but it includes half the teams from Class A, half the teams from Class B, commingled for the first time this year. Single elimination tournament. First round games are done. Here's what we've got for the upcoming matchups for the second week. St. Patrick, ranked number 10 in the state in this class, actually tied for 10th. St. Patrick will take on Baseball 365. Next game is Metro Knights will take on Minnetonka Millers. Minnetonka Millers ranked number 3 in the state. Moving down, Air Freight. Air Freight Unlimited is ranked number 2 in the state. They'll be taking on the Minneapolis Angels. Now, the Minneapolis Angels knocked off Champlain Park Low Gators today. Champlain Park was ranked in the top 10. Could be what some would call an upset, but the Angels looked good. Next game is Moorhead Brewers will take on the Hopkins Berries. Hopkins Berries in the tournament. Remember, single elimination for these games. We move on to Cold Spring Springers will take on St. Louis Park. St. Louis Park won the Class A title last year. They are looking good again this year. Next game is Meesville Mudhens, ranked number 4 in the state. They'll take on the Anoka Bucks. Anoka just bumped off the Lions Pub Warriors. Lions Pub was ranked number 1 in the state, lost the opening round weekend in their game. They are now out of it. Anoka Bucks advancing on. Stockman's Irish, ranked number 5, will take on Shakopee Indians, ranked number 9. That's our only matchup in week 2 between two top 10 ranked teams. Stockman's Indians. That will be a game to watch. They play on Sunday. Most of these games are Saturday for the first weekend. For the second weekend, most of the games are Saturday. 6 of these games are Saturday, 2 on Sunday. The 2 Sunday games are the ones to watch. Stockman's Irish versus Shakopee. Both teams ranked in the top 10. The final game of week 2 for Class B is the Dundas Dukes. They're ranked number 10, tied for 10th in the rankings. They'll take on the Minneapolis Cobras. Cobras won the tournament, I believe, 2 years ago. They're always tough. That bottom section between those 4 teams, 3 of the 4 teams are ranked in the top 10 in the state, all in that bottom quadrant. Coming out of there in single elimination, winners will advance on Saturday, September 2 for Labor Day weekend. But with 3 of the teams ranked, Cobras are always tough. Any one of those teams there could and can possibly win. Advancing from the first round of the 16 games, formerly Class A teams won 9 of them, and formerly Class B teams won 7. So a slight edge to Class B. This is the first time they've done this together. Pretty fun to watch. I took in a couple games myself. Class A won 9 of the games. Class B, once again, won 7 for a total of 16. This coming weekend will be very good. Now, keep in mind, for Class B, when the season's over for the regular season and the playoffs before state starts, there is no draft. There is no draft for additional pitchers. So I'm bringing up these rankings because they're going to be pretty accurate. The rankings will be pretty accurate here as far as the rankings for Class B. This is the team. The roster is the team that got them there. No additions. Now let's move on to Class C. The big difference in Class C is that the teams that advanced or won and are playing in this next round and throughout, all these teams had a draft after their regions were completed. Each of these teams picked up 3 pitchers, 3 additional pitchers. Whether you use them or not, it's up to you, but you have 3 more players on your roster to really give you some depth. So I'm going to read off the rankings. But for Class C, you can almost throw those out the window. So take it as you may. Here's the Matchups for week 2. Spring Hill will take on Delano. Delano's the number 1 seed, number 1 ranked team overall in Class C. They're going to be playing on Friday night at home. Delano is one of the host sites. They get a home game there. That should be one to watch. Tough lineup there. Next game is El Rosa taking on the Minneota Mud Hens. Next game is Monticello Polecats against the Bluffton Braves. Bluffton's always good. That's another Friday night game. That's at the other site in Litchfield. 7:30 start Friday night. Monticello Polecats against Bluffton. Once again, single elimination. Only one game this coming weekend. You win, you advance to Labor Day weekend. You lose, you go home. Next game is Plato Blue Jays taking on the Laverne Redbirds. Laverne finished the season ranked number 9th in the entire state. Plato was down there ranked, I think, also mentioned after the top 10. But the pitchers Plato picked up were 3 very good pitchers. I would expect Plato to possibly win that game there. They should be tough. Next game is Green Isle against the Jordan Brewers. Jordan Brewers ranked 3rd in the state for Class C. That should also be a good game. A young Green Isle team there. Next game is Chisago Lakes against Fergus Falls Hurricanes. Next game is New York Mills taking on the Sartell Muskies. And Maple Lake, ranked 10th in the state, taking on the Cortland Cubs. Cortland Cubs have been getting a lot of attention this year. They are, I would call them the darlings of the tournament this year. Everyone's kind of a fan favorite to see them after so many years of not being in the state. They made it, but they'll go up against a tough Maple Lake team. The bottom half of the bracket for Class C will be Nisswa, last year's champion and ranked 4th in the state. Will take on the Cannon Falls Bears. Next game is New Ulm Brewers versus the Faribault Lakers. Next is Hutchinson versus the Hinckley Knights. Next one is Kimball taking on the Buckman Billy Goats. Buckman's always tough. They play in the same division with Nisswa. Buckman is ranked 5th in the state of Minnesota for Class C. Next is Loretto. Loretto Larks will be taking on the St. Martin Martins. Will also be a good game. And then finally, there's 3 more games. Avon against Hibbing. Watkins against Waconia. Watkins brings along the Geislinger brothers there. This game is going to be a Friday night in Dassel, 7:30 p.m., 7:30 start in Dassel. Watkins Clippers, unranked, but very good, going up against the Waconia Lakers. Waconia ranked number 7 in the state. That will be a good one to keep an eye on. Also, you're talking about pitching. That could be an interesting matchup there with the depth on both of those teams. Finally, rounding out the slate for week 2, Blue Earth taking on Bird Island Bullfrogs. Bird Island's ranked 8th in the state. Blue Earth is unranked. All these games should be good. Keep in mind, the rankings I mentioned were as of August 2nd. Does not include the fact that each of these teams do have 3 additional pitchers that they picked up. They were able to pick up from teams that did not make the state. So the rankings may or may not hold any weight in this fashion. But there's 3 games Friday for Class C, and all the rest will be Saturday, Sunday. Each team just plays 1 game. If you lose, you're done. You win, you advance. Week 3, the final weekend, is the long Labor Day weekend, is where all the remaining games will be for both Class B and Class C. If you look on the board there, you can see the Twitter handle, Instagram, and Facebook. Be sure to follow those for the Minnesota State 100th anniversary, the Minnesota State Amateur Baseball Tournament. Hope to see you there.